Welcome to the Second Take with Ashwin Bedi. Today, our top stories take us from dating political parties in South Africa to Namibian youth partying too much for their president to take them seriously. We also get the perspectives of the aforementioned Namibian youth because I don't believe in gossip, but I do believe in making fun of the powers that be. So brace yourselves because we might need lawyers for this one. It's time for the Second Take.
E-Ticket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nmh.com.na.
Inspired by popular dating apps like Tinder and Bumble, a newly launched app called Your Vote allows users to date political parties by answering a set of questions designed to reveal their political preferences. Instead of matching up those who are single to mingle, the platform hopes to help young South Africans find political parties that align with their values and beliefs. Each party's profile on Your Vote features information sourced from their latest manifestos and websites, but in true dating bio style. For example, the DA's profile exclaims, "My ideology is all about liberalism. I'm all for freedom, baby." While the economic freedom fighters proudly declare our slogan, "Our land and jobs now." Users can choose to take things further with a political party, which redirects them to the official website of that party for more information. Now, this is what I'm talking about. I wonder what it would look like in Namibia if political parties were actually potential dates. SWAPO would never want to end the date. LPM might talk too loud. PDM might be too quiet. IPC could find it hard to sit down. And there's a chance that AR orders a Labrador for dinner. Either way, they will need to impress you. And it will be interesting to see how the parties manage to woo the youth vote for the upcoming election. Let's talk more about the youth. As an African child, there's a phenomenon you generally find hard to grasp, which is why our parents are ready to share our shortcomings to other parents the moment they sit together. Yes, sure, occasionally they will show you off, but at other times they throw your business out in the open like an ex-lover on Twitter, and it never feels warranted. This is how it was when President Hage Geingob leaned in on Namibian youth during an interview with a research university in Paris, saying the youth's demands to have a say in decision-making processes in the country should be respected. However, if they want to assume positions of power, they cannot be an alcoholic, the head of state said, smoking dacha, and you are even drunk and beating up women, he said of the youth. However, the president himself has in the past made startling allegations against senior officials in government whom he said were seen at the wrong places and at times under the influence of alcohol. Now, to point out a drinking and drug problem is one thing. To paint the youth with one brush is another. Yes, Namibia is one of the world's foremost consumers of alcohol, but that is a group project. And no one complains to O&L when the money is pouring into the government coffers. But the moment the youth wants to lead, it seems we become responsible for all the country's ailments. Yet the ailments appeared without the youth having an opportunity to lead. All I'm saying is, if the father of the house has declared himself the sole breadwinner for 33 years and there's less food on the table than there is alcohol in the fridge, then someone's going to drink. And by the way, Namibian youth have shown plenty of capacity to lead. For example, the likes of Patience Masua and Emma Theophilus. I wonder if the president still views them as youth, or perhaps joining SWAPO has aged them and it's become hard to tell. All I know is there are plenty of brilliant Namibian youths and they deserve a say in the country's affairs, just as they deserve to have their president speak highly of them on global platforms. Namspective follows after the break. Welcome to Namspective, the segment dedicated to finding out how Namibians feel about their country, Africa, and the world. This is today's question. How do you feel Namibian politicians can better reach the youth? Here are the Namspectives of Anushka Routh and Tia James Wilson.
Okay, for the best way for me, how politicians, especially politicians in Namibia, can best reach the youth is to stop with their superiority complex and start being humble. Sometimes youth does know what they are talking about. We actually do know what we talk about. So listening, it will help you in the long term.
Hi. I believe how politicians can impact the youth is really getting involved with what we actually do. A smart way would be engaging in the arts. That's where the youth thrive. That's what the youth like. That's what engages people in terms of social media, in terms of presence, in terms of, communication. So if they can, like my colleague said, listen and hear us out in terms of what we want and what we suggest in terms of forecasting a better future, I think it would be better. But a good aspect and a good angle of doing this would be through the art form, because the art is what will grasp many amounts of youth, and they don't take it seriously because there's far more important things to think about, and I respect that. But at the end of the day, the youth is who will get them the votes, and if you want to speak to the youth, I would suggest touching through them through the art form. Thank you.
And those are their Namspectives. And of course, would like to find out more. Do make sure you comment on our social media pages if you feel that more can be done to secure the youth vote in Namibia. Our heartwarming moment of the week follows after the break. Let's get into our heartwarming moment of the week. In Morocco, a 6.8 magnitude quake that struck late on September 8 was the deadliest since 1960. Now, the country is still reeling from this ordeal, but some folks are going out of their way to make sure the children are smiling by building a playground to lift their spirits. In this clip, 11-year-old Fatim Zara speaks of her joy as she watches the new playgrounds being built in the camp for displaced people. It is beautiful to see children prioritized in this manner, especially during such a devastating crisis. Nelson Mandela once said, "There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children." After the break, we talk to Esther Kamanti about youth in politics. Joining me now is Esther Kamati, a television producer and, of course, an Namibian youth. And we just want to find out her thoughts about reaching her demographic. How's it going, Esther?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you, Ashwin?
I'm feeling fantastic.
Awesome.
Now, in the
Good to
previous
hear it.
election already, we knew that the millennials were the majority of the voters. I suspect that won't change heading into next year's election in Namibia. How do you feel politicians could best reach the youth?
I believe that the best way that you can reach young people, especially those that are discouraged and don't want to come for the elections anymore, is basically by going to them where they are. I think strategies such as unconventional strategies, rather, such as reaching the youth where they are and kind of paying attention to what their interests are and incorporating those in your campaigns and so forth will kind of lead the flock better to you. I think we've seen some of these strategies with the First Lady's #Be Free movement, where she met the youth where they were. She literally had one of her meetings at a club. It was during the day and there were no, unwanted activity.
Because when you said you have to go and meet the youth where they are, I'm like, hey, where the youth are on the weekend. It was during the day. I do remember that. Yeah,
certainly. So that was a very interesting engagement in terms of she did not look at the youth and say like, look, okay, it is me, this public figure, but she sat down and had like casual conversations with them and engaged them on like a one-on-one basis. It was a bit more intimate in that way they could relate better to her. And of course, another platform that the youth are actively on is social media. I believe that it's about time that our politicians start looking at social media as a means to reach young people. I mean, this can also be done through most political parties, if not all of them, have a youth command or a youth league. These are definitely the people that relate better to the audience who you're trying to engage.
But sometimes you look at the ages of the people in the youth league and they're not particularly youthful. But speaking of making use of social media, Jabba Mbanda certainly does that.
Of course.
I don't know if it's campaigning yet or if it's still just like enlightening the nation on what he sees is happening. But yes, social media is a powerful tool. But how do you think we got here? Because it feels like there's such an obvious disconnect between the youth and the elderly folks. And from my understanding, particularly, let's start from the liberation movements, these folks were youth.
Of course.
Our age, 30 and below, sometimes even younger, and they trusted themselves to lead the country. It feels like there's been a disconnect now. It's almost like, because now if you have to go search for the youth vote, you know what I mean? It feels like the youth have perhaps been politically disenfranchised. And I guess there's a worry from the youth at that point, even if, you meet us at the club or you meet us somewhere, are we just going to be a vote, much like the rural populace has kind of been for a while, like the majority of the rural populace? Are we just going to be a vote? Are you just going to come to the clubs just like leading up to elections? Or are people really interested in cultivating the youth? Now, President Hage Geingob was at the SDG summit and he had some thoughts himself. He says Namibian youth can lead. You just shouldn't be alcoholics, smoke marijuana. He said this. I don't know if he should have said that in France, because I feel like Tate, like we live at the same house. You could have just spoken to us.
Call a family meeting.
Call a family meeting. But at the same time, he has seen, the ascension of Emma Theophilus, who is a young youth leader in Parliament, as well as Patience as well. So, I guess there is some, work being done there. But like I said, a disconnect has happened, right? In bridging this gap, should politicians just bridge it to just try to get the vote, which I guess is a noble thing in its own, because technically if you have beliefs that you think work for the country, getting votes is a priority? Or is it about time that some of the guys start, giving the reins to the youth? Because you don't have to go and engage the youth if you have youthful people.
That is very true. And I'd just like to take it back to the conversation of the liberation movement. I think many of our political leaders, having been part of such movements, have actually, I think they kind of made this experience personal in such a way that they take ownership of Namibian politics and kind of make it difficult for other people who are not part of the liberation movement to kind of penetrate and have their voices heard as well. So I think that's one of the problems. And another thing is also that I feel we spend way too much time talking about involving the youth than we actually do involving the youth.
Yes,
so I feel like maybe a different approach needs to be taken. There are some political parties, like you mentioned, mentioned with the SWAPO party, the integration of Emma Teofelis, our youngest minister that we've ever had in Namibia. There are other political parties as well that have active youth on the front line, such as Utara
LPM,
Motu,
yes,
for instance, from the LPM.
Yeah, yes.
So I think that's a starting point, but just seeing these faces in parliament is not enough. We need these people to actually be speaking up. We need them in the forefront.
Yes.
We need them at political rallies.
Yes.
For instance, people of our age group wouldn't attend a political rally where people are talking about issues that we don't relate to, where people kind of use the youth as a punching bag to say these people are incompetent or they need further grooming, whereas you were sitting in that position at the age that I am right now.
You know what I'm saying? So, and especially when it comes to some of these youth, the youth have reason to be worried that some of these people are just echoing what was said in the past.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Namibian politicians, that's the word. Millennials are going to be deciding your election. Do you engage them or not? All I know is you have a much better chance making decisions for the future if you're connected to the people who will certainly be there. Thank you, Esther.
Sure thing.
That's our second take interview.
In the heart of Africa lies a land of timeless beauty. Welcome to Namibia, where nature's wonders unfold. A land of breathtaking deserts, untamed wilderness, and ancient traditions. Beneath its surface, Namibian diamonds, crafted by nature, coveted by the world. A testament of time. An extraordinary giveaway. Namibia Diamond Trading Company is giving you the chance to win a polished diamond valued at 100,000 Namibian dollars. To enter, simply scan the QR code, send a WhatsApp to 085-785-6231 with hashtag diamond and follow the on-screen instructions. Discover the magic of these unique diamonds. From the heart of Namibia to yours.
So as you know, Africa is well represented at the Rugby World Cup in France, which also means a special phenomena happens when the African countries and the French culture start to get to know each other on social media. Our TikTok of the week gets a 10 out of 10 on the relatability score. Enjoy.
What's your top 3 designer brands?
Saint Laurent, Celine,
Monsieur Prisset, Ackerman, Jem, Tep, Jet.
Stay with the second take. See you after the break.
Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad bitch. What? This is what you call a bad bitch. Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad bitch. What? This is what you call a bad bitch. Looks a little something like this. Bit like I can't.
In the tapestry of African politics, the vibrant thread of youth representation is more than just a desired feature. It's an essential and irreplaceable component. The youth embody the pulse of change, the vitality of progress, and the hope for a brighter future. African societies are undeniably youthful, with a significant portion of the population comprised of young individuals. These individuals possess unique perspectives, fresh ideas, and a palpable passion for transformation. Their energy is a force that can drive innovation, disrupt stagnant systems, and breathe life into governance. Yet for too long, the voices of the youth have been relegated to the periphery, drowning in the echoes of traditional paradigms. It is crucial to dismantle the barriers that impede youth participation and foster an environment where their voices are not only heard, but embraced. Youth representation in African politics is a declaration of inclusion. It is a recognition of the future being shaped by those who will inherit it. My name is Ashwin Bedi, and that is The Second Take.